Hi there, this is Eshu. I'm the abbot here at Zenwest Buddhist Society. This Living Zen-podcast is just one of the many resources we've created at Zenwest to make Zen practice and training more available and accessible to people all over the world. Instructional videos, printable resources, and much, much more are also available on our website at www.zenwest.ca. If you're a regular listener, I'd love to hear from you. So please drop me an email at office@zenwest.ca and let me know who you are, how you got started, and what brought you to Zen. Everything we make available in person and online at Zenwest is only possible because of the support of our members and associates, people like you. If the efforts of our community are making a difference in your life, I'd like to invite you to show your support and take part in making it happen by becoming an associate or member of the Zenwest Sangha. You can do this by clicking the Join Us tab on our website at www.zenwest.ca. Thank you for your support, and thanks for listening. So tonight, as we were getting ready, a few people observed that tonight I'm wearing my brown robes, which is unusual. They're usually kind of reserved for ceremonies. But in some ways, tonight is a ceremony, or is a ceremonious? I don't know. It's a time of significant transition in our community. And I just wanted to talk about that as it all seems to come together at once. So this week, this Tuesday is Haku's last Tuesday as Haku. We have this residential program that we've just begun. It started in May, and it's a residential monastic program. So it's a 3-month term of training. You commit to come and practice in residence at the temple in Suk. It begins with a 36-kilometer pilgrimage along the Galloping Goose Trail. Haku did that in May. After a few days of familiarization, we have a temporary ordination ceremony, which includes a shaving of the head, receiving a Dharma name, taking vows of a monk, which include sobriety and celibacy. And then for 90 days, you train with a monastic schedule. We get up at 4:30 in the morning. We sit, we chant, we do yoga. There's work period, meals, more zazen, some study, more zazen. Haku's been doing this for 3 months. Thursday is the final day, and we're ending with a big hike. We're going to do the East Suk Coast Trail. I thought it would be a nice bookend, beginning with a walk, beginning with a journey, and ending with a journey. Now, the reason that I think this is so significant is because I really view this as a fruit. And while it is the case that Haku is the person who's done the program, this is a program that stands on top of the work of everybody in the community for all of the years that this community has existed. Last time I was here, I was marveling at the math and realizing that I couldn't believe that I'd been involved here for 19 years. Seems like too long. I don't feel like I'm that old. But this program, this kind of temporary monastic program, is something that requires a lot of resources. It requires space, and it requires time, and it requires finances to support me so that I can actually do that, train people, create the environment so that somebody can come and commit themselves full-time to immersing themselves in this tradition. And that's all been built by you. We have this beautiful sit on Tuesday evenings, and for many people this is the front door. And it really is just the tip of the iceberg, as lovely as it is. This past Sunday, we also finished a week-long session in which more people came out and lived at the Zen Center for a week of intensive practice. More zazen, more sitting meditation than usual. Hiking, working, chanting, living in harmonious community together as practice. Being able to have the resources, human, financial, space, and every other resource to do this is not an insignificant task. There are many, many Zen groups all over the world who never get to this point, who never manage to pull it together, who never manage to engage the commitment of their members to the degree that they can support this kind of intensive, rigorous practice. And so this week, I'm just sort of reveling in the fruits of the labor of all of the members of Zenwest. It makes me very happy. We finished the retreat at just around noon after the Sangha Sunday practice this past Sunday. And as we were sitting down to dinner, I received a message that Joshu Sasaki Roshi had died at age 107. And for those of you who know of my involvement with Rinzai-ji and my involvement in bringing into the public eye the Joshu Sasaki Roshi's misconduct. There's no nice way to put it. I'm sure many people think that this was that I thought this was good, that he had finally passed away. And I have to say, from the moment that I heard the news, a very complex mix of emotions has risen. I don't regret in any way having spoken out about Sasaki Roshi's misconduct in any way. But one of the things that I've really observed is that as we look at a human being, our tendency is to put them into one of two boxes. And we put them into either the good box or the bad box. And whenever we have a relationship with somebody, it's always it makes it easier for us, I think. It makes it easier for us to go on with our lives when we take a person and we put them in the good box or the bad box. We don't have to think about it anymore. But for me, with Joshu Sasaki Roshi, as much as I am completely horrified by many of the things that he did, so much so that I felt impelled to speak about it in a very public manner, there is also a part of me that looks at these fruits that we have here at Zenwest. We have this residential training, we have this center, we have my own practice and experience. And when I follow this back, I also have to acknowledge that it all arises also from Joshu Sasaki Roshi. The Zen Center in Victoria predates my presence here by nearly 20 years. It was begun in the 1960s, late 1970s. And it was begun by students of Joshu Sasaki Roshi, just a few students in a sitting group in borrowed space in a Tibetan temple here in town. Eventually, the group outgrew that space and they began renting space. Sasaki Roshi even visited and held sesshin here in Victoria. When I first came here, it was just a very small group. The group had shrunk some. It was just a dozen cushions in a box. And I was young and eager and wanted more. I really wanted to train in Zen. And so I went and trained at Mount Baldy Zen Center, which is the main training center in the Rinzai-ji lineage. And for a 25-year-old young man, it was a brilliant place of practice, harsh, medieval almost. And there I faced some of my own personal demons to a degree which I didn't really think was possible, and clarified a great deal. That was my experience, and I fully acknowledge and recognize that for many people, particularly women, this was not the experience. So I find myself in this very difficult position, hearing the news of Joshu Sasaki's death. Some people have spoken about what a great relief it is. And in some ways it is, because perhaps the Rinzai-ji organization can now move forward and start to address some of its issues without the obstacle of Joshu Sasaki's formidable resistance. And some people have said that for many students it's a great sadness, because in spite of it all, he did commit his life to bringing this teaching forward into the West. So I don't have any answers on this one, except perhaps that whenever we look at a teacher, I think it's important that we don't see a God or even a guru or even something that's different than you or I in any way. Each of us a mix of profound wisdom. As Genjo Osho says, the sage beyond our years. And mixed in there is a blind fool who only wants whatever it is that he wants right now and will do whatever he can to get it, or she. Our practice, therefore, is to sit with all of it. Our practice is to open our eyes and witness what arises in the space inside and outside, to come to know it, to come to clarify it, so that as we walk forward in our lives, as we engage with this world around us, we know what we're dealing with. We know our drives, we know our motivations, and we know our capacity both for awakened bodhisattva action, as well as our capacity for demonic, self-serving, ignorant action. We don't get to be one or the other. Wouldn't it be lovely if that were the case? But each of us has to accept the responsibility for our complete capacity in both directions. We have to accept the responsibility to awaken to our impact in this world, this impact in this cosmos, which can be self-serving and disruptive and destructive, or can be for the benefit of all beings. And this isn't something that we just get to do once in our lives. But this is why we take up these vows over and over and over again. All beings without number I vow to liberate. Endless blind passions I vow to uproot. Dharma gates beyond measure I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha I vow to attain. These vows we chant over and over again. We must commit ourselves to them over and over again so that we remember. Our capacity doesn't diminish, it doesn't go away, it doesn't evaporate. And our capacity is boundless in all directions. To be born into this human body is a tremendous responsibility. And our commitment in our Zen practice is to accept that responsibility with wisdom and compassion. There's a story in the sutras about the Hamsa Raja, the king of the geese. And it's said that if you take a solution of milk and water that's been mixed, there's no way that you can unmix it. But this one creature, this Hamsa Raja, the king of the geese, with his magical bill, he can drink this mixture of milk and water and swallow only the pure water. Or depending on the story that you hear, swallow only the pure milk. I don't know. What do geese like to drink? I don't know. The challenge that we have, I think, each of us as human beings, and I think in particular in this circumstances, each of us in our lives, whether it's our family or our friends or our society, each of us has to manifest as this king of geese, because what we get in this life from our parents and our upbringing and our culture is this mixture. Things that are beneficial, things that are harmful, and they don't come separated. They come completely fused together. And it's our practice to discern them ourselves. And just like the king of geese, you can't do that at a distance. You can't do that with it in a bottle somewhere outside. We have to take it on ourselves. We have to receive it ourselves. We have to accept both the good and bad ourselves and discern them ourselves and go forward. So it is my commitment, it is my aspiration to make of my practice. And if it's my practice to sit in this abbot's seat, to make it the practice here at Zen West, to discern this. And even with such a complex and flawed character as Joshu Sasaki Roshi, to take the best of what he had to offer and to bring it forward while leaving the rest behind. to take the best of what I have to offer and carry it forward and leave the rest behind. And each of us has to take what we receive, discern it for ourselves, and take the best and leave the rest behind. And in this way, we work for the benefit of all beings. This is the path of the Bodhisattva, and this is our practice. So the past couple of days, I've just been sitting in great gratitude for it all, as difficult as it has been, and the criticism and abuse that has arisen out of just speaking out, just saying, look at this, something's not right here. The upending of lives and paths just to speak the truth. And I find myself deeply grateful for this practice, deeply grateful for this form, for this teaching, and for this community. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for putting your butts on these cushions. And thank you all for trusting me as your abbot. Thank you. Thanks for listening to the Living Zen podcast. If you follow Living Zen through iTunes, I would very much appreciate it if you would take a moment to let me know what you think about it by rating or reviewing the podcast, so that new listeners can also hear what you have to say. Thank you for your time and for your support.